Hey, how are you? I'm Roberta Calacino, and I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator here in the Finger Lakes region of upstate New York. I'm going to make a little adjustment here. I feel like I'm looking up. That's a little bit better. Anyway, I said here in the Finger Lakes region of upstate New York, but right now I'm coming to you from Pompano Beach, Florida, where it's getting warmer until next week when it's getting colder again. I don't know if that's happening everywhere, but it's happening here. Anyway, so tonight I'm bringing you a kind of a remake of one card that I made, and then two new cards using some at least new to me sets. They're not brand new, but they're new to me. And then maybe a little discussion about color, because that's always kind of an interesting thing. I've always struggled with color and deciding what colors go together, so I thought maybe some others were as well. Hang on one second, because I've got to get my iPad going. I always forget about that. Got to make sure that the sound is turned down. Hang on just a second. Thank you for coming tonight, and whether you're watching me live or whether you'll catch me on the replay, I really appreciate your being here. So thank you very much. Okay. A little slow. We're getting there. We're getting there. I know I should have done this sooner, but I turned on my phone to search for my group, which I usually don't have to search too hard, and strange things were coming up, and I realized I was in a different profile. So I have different profiles for different things that I am involved in, and I was in the wrong one, and for a split second I forgot how to get into it. All right, so for some reason my iPad seems to be not connecting to the internet, which won't be great. All right, well, in the meantime, I'm going to kind of keep playing with that, but I don't want to keep you waiting, so I'm going to go ahead and turn the camera down, and we will get started to whatever degree we can. All right, I'll flip the camera around. All right, of course, now I can't see a thing unless I stand up and look, and I probably should, because who knows what you're seeing. Okay, not bad at all, not bad. Still got some shadows here. I've got to call an electrician about coming in to do a couple of things. So I hope I can get that fan straightened out as well. Just get a new one with some light fixtures in it. I'm very fond of the daylight lamps, and I'm hoping that putting some daylight bulbs in there will give me some nicer light without shadows. Okay, good. I think my iPad is on the internet now. That's always good. And I'm in the right place. So I have been, I started out saying that all of my lives were going to happen on my business page. But at least for the time being, I just don't have enough people who are understanding following my business page. And so as a result of that, I'm not going to do that because I'm afraid that nobody will see me. So I will put it on my business page and on YouTube after this one. So this will be live, at least for now. And then we'll go from there. Okay, the iPad is quite a bit behind us. That's all right. All right, so let's see if we can get started here. All right, so like I said, I am Roberta Calacino, 11 Lakes Stamper. I'm 11 Lakes Stamper on YouTube, and this group is called 11 Lakes Stamper Creatives. I do a free paper crafting video every Wednesday night at 7 p.m. I do cards, home decor, scrapbook layouts, and more. I would really like to know if anybody watching would like to see more in the way of scrapbook layouts. I used to do a scrapbook Saturday, and I found that people just weren't watching very often. And so, you know, in different locations, scrapbooking is really big. In other places, it's not. So I stopped doing it, but I'm certainly more than willing to start doing it again. We've got some really nice kits, and no matter what, you can get some ideas from those. All right, so you remember this card, maybe. That video disappeared, and I'm sure that that was user error, just so you know. I don't think Facebook did anything this time around. I think it was all me. I don't know exactly what I did, but I did something and it disappeared. I posted pictures of this card, but I had also found an error that I made, which I explained in last week's video, but I thought, you know what, I'm going to make up a card recipe for it. All right, so I'm calling this an inside accordion fold card with tabs. You can do it with tabs or without tabs. And since I used retired paper last time, I decided to just do a quick one tonight so that you can actually see it being made, and then I will post this on the group right here so that you can have the entire recipe if you would like it. All right, so let's get started with that. So this paper here, this is the December. This was the December product of the month. Okay, and the product of the month, I have all kinds of stuff tonight, so, and I don't want to forget any of it because it's all important. So the product of the month is a new promotion that Stampin' Up! Is doing. It sounds like it might be permanent, I don't know, where if you spend $75, you have $75 worth of products in your cart, you will get a notification at the top of your screen that says that you're now eligible to get the product of the month for $5. And when the product of the month is gone, it's gone. So I did not remember to look this up, but what I did notice was that the product of the month for January was a really nice stamp set. And when they give you paper or a stamp set, it's not like a tiny stamp set, or it's not a pack of paper that doesn't have all of the papers in it. It's the same exact amount of papers, the same quality of papers, same thing with the stamps as you would get if you were paying full price for it. Right, so that's good to know. So the product of the month for January, the stamp set, is still available, and you can choose that. Okay, it's actually, it'll be listed in, it won't be listed under product of the month. I think you'll have to choose it when you choose to take the product of the month, if I'm saying that right. So you can order any of them. So if there are several leftovers, you can order one of those as soon as it's available. But you can't order it again. So I got this one in December. If it was still available, I couldn't get it again. You can only have one of each product of the month. But if you didn't know that this was happening in December, let's say, and you liked the paper, then you could go ahead and get it if you didn't like the product of the month this month. Okay, there will be just one product of every month in every month. All right, so the product of the month for this month is more designer series paper, and I love it. I really liked this a lot, and I really like this. It's kind of a watercolory thing, and it's 12 by 12, and it's just like all of our others. It's got 12 sheets in it, 2 each of 6 designs, and these are the designs here. And remember, our paper is double-sided, so that's really cool, and today you'll see how I'm using that to create our card. So that's a really good one. Also, very important to tell you is that beginning today, there's 3 days of free shipping on any order of $75 or more. So that has to be $75 or more before tax and shipping. If you, let's say, had $75 in credits, you couldn't count that. You would have to have $75 additional dollars. But if you look at it that way, you'd be getting your $75 free, the first $75 free if you had credits. And then the second $75, you'd be getting free shipping on it. Well, no, you'd probably be getting free shipping on the whole thing. I'm sorry. If you placed an order for $500, you would get free shipping on it. It just has to be over $75. Sometimes I say things that don't even make sense to me. Okay, so that's pretty cool. The next thing that's important to know is that the join offer right now through March 2nd is that you can get for free the new Stampin' Positioner. And I'm going to tell you, I didn't get this when the demonstrators could order it ahead of time. I have the Stampin', what the heck is it called? The other Stampin' Up one. It's drawing a blank as far as the name goes, but I have that one, and I've been very fond with it. It has a lot of really great features. And before I became involved with Stampin' Up, I bought another stamp platform by Tim Holtz, and before that, I got a real small one that was made by Fisker, I think. It's very small though, so you couldn't do a lot with it. This one really has some very cool features, and I feel like even though I've got a couple of others, there's something about this I think I'm going to like it. So I just might end up ordering it, but right now demonstrators can't order it. They can't order it until after March 2nd, and they don't have a date yet, because right now only people who are joining Stampin' Up! As demonstrators can earn this right now, okay? And you will get all kinds of other things too. Typically you get a, usually they give you a, what do you call it? Oh my gosh. One of the kits, they give you a paper pumpkin kit, and normally, and this paper really is just talking about this, which kind of surprises me. But I'm sure there's more to it than that, but I'll have to explore. Usually it's something like you get $155 worth of product for $99, and then you still might get something. So like a couple of years ago, people who joined got this trimmer. When I joined, I got a 10-pack of the inks. There have been all kinds of different things. A friend of mine joined my team, and she got the mini Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine. So there's always something good that you get when you join. It's not something, you know, kind of cheesy or whatever. It's something good, and I would love to have you as a member of my team. If you have any questions, just reach out, okay? I just posted or made a copy of this because last week we used one of these doilies in the Valentine's cards that I made, and I posted pictures of those as well. And these doilies, it's a very nice package. It comes in 2 colors and 4, you know, 2 different sizes, 2 different colors. And they're not crummy. They're not crummy doilies at all. They're very sturdy. The other thing is that if you didn't want the bubble bath or the red, you just flip it over and use the white size. But they are on the last chance list, so I thought I would just show this here to give you the opportunity to copy down the item number and the price if this is something that you might be interested in. Okay, I can bring it up a little bit higher too, so you can see you get 24 of the doilies. Okay, all right. So there's that, and I think that might really be it. And I think I have all of those opportunities posted on my on this group as well. Okay, so we're going to start off with this paper, and like I said, if you recall this card, it was a fold card, a fun fold card, but I explained to you that when I started using the the tabs, what I realized was that if I wrapped the tabs around, then I was sealing the card shut. So I started to open it and I couldn't get it open any further than this. So that was my mistake. So I took the tabs off and tried to fix it, but it was kind of almost not worth it. And then for this one, I cut the tabs in half. So they're only on half of the page, right? And this is a really pretty card, but it's very pinky and whatnot. And I thought, well, I'm going to try something different. So tonight I'm going to use Night of Navy. Okay, I want to get what I do. I just put it away. I want that recipe out here though, because I didn't post it yet because I wanted to trial it and make sure that I had the measurements right. That's always a good idea. All right, so here we go. So we have just a typical card base, all right, which is 4 by 5 1/4. Well, I'm sorry, 5 1/4 by 4. It's really 8 1/2, and when you score that down the middle, then it's 4 1/4. Okay, so the card itself becomes 5 1/2 by 4 1/4. So we've got that in Night of Navy, and then we've got a cover sheet using this DSP, which I don't think I even told you the name of, did I? And interestingly, so the name is True Blue Florals, and it just says Balmy Blue and Night of Navy. So those are the only 2 colors represented in here, although there could possibly be different shades of those colors, all right? So we've got that, and we've got this topper, which will be 4 by 5 1/4. Now, well, I'll get to that in a second. So just make sure when you're using directional paper that you get it in the direction that you want, okay? That's pretty important. So I could really just go ahead and glue this part right on. We're ready for that. And I will add a sentiment, but we can just glue it on for now. I'm trying to look to make sure that I'm in camera frame because I've got just a very small view here. It's not even the whole iPad, so it's smaller than your typical iPad front even. Okay, and I apologize. At the moment, I cannot see any comments. So if you're here and you've said hello, hello right back at you. And I will try to respond to comments later. Every once in a while, suddenly I can see them and then they disappear again, and I just don't know what that's all about. I'm actually pretty decent with technology, although if you've been watching me for a long time, you might question that. There's always something that happens, you know what I mean, with technology. Some different thing that happens. Okay, so there we go. So that's good, that's directional. Now this side of the paper is not directional, and this is what I've chosen to use for the inside. But if I were going to use this, I would want to be careful to cut my paper this way so that it would remain directional. This has no direction at all. All right, so with this paper, what we do is we've got this piece of DSP, which is 10 by 5 1/4, right? 10 inches by 5 1/4 this way. and we're going to get out our Stampin' Trimmer, and we are going to score this at 2. Always make sure I keep my blades down here and I keep the score blade on top, because it's much better to accidentally score than to accidentally cut. Okay, so we're going to score at 2, and the Designer Series paper is not as thick as cardstock, so you don't have to, go right at it heavily. We're going to score it at 2. We're going to move over 1 inch and score it at 3. And move over 1 inch and score it at 4. And move over and score it at 5. So you see a pattern here, right? We're just doing an inch and an inch, except for the first one, which is 2 inches. All right, then we're going to score it at 6. After 6 on this trimmer, we need to open up our arm, so I'm going to do that. And see if I can keep it in camera, but out of the way. Let's see. Maybe not. I may lose you, part of you. All right, and then we're going to score it at 7. So just 1 more inch, 7. And then we're going to score it at 8. And then we're going to stop. So what ends up happening is that we have a 2-inch side over here and a 2-inch side over here. Okay? Now, what we want to happen is that these two 2-inch tabs, you're going to want those to be glued down here and here. So when we start doing these folds here, we want to think of this as a valley. You know that expression? Because it goes in, then your next fold is going to be a mountain because it has a peak. Okay? Then the next fold is going to be a valley because it's going to go in or down. Then the next fold is going to be a mountain. It's really just like when you learned how to fold fans when you were a little kid. Did you do that at all? If you learned how to fold fans, this is basically what you're doing, is the same fold. Okay? So then, now we have a valley, and now the last one here is going to be a mountain. All right? And that way, once we glue this down here to the sides, I'm just going to hold it so you can see it, your card will fold. Now, it will say, and I put this right in the directions, your card is going to want to be trained a little bit, if that makes any sense. Okay, something's not right here. I have to figure out what it is. So we did 2 inches, 3 inches, 4 inches, 5 inches, 6 inches, 7 inches, 8 inches. And yet, something's not right. Okay, we're going to have to figure that out. This may have been too long, but that's important. We got to figure that out. So, maybe I just can't measure, right? 10 by 5 3/4, or 5 1/4. 10. Okay, I'm a little over 10 inches somehow or other. I was probably watching TV while I was doing that, and that's never a good plan. So we'll get this out again. We'll open up the arm. We'll put it this way. We'll line up with 10 inches over here. Now it's a little tricky because it's got all these bumps in it, so I'm going to have to flatten it out pretty good. Yeah, it looks like it's 1/2 inch too long. All right, so there we go. That was easy enough to fix. And then, like I was saying, you're going to have to sort of train this a little bit to do what you want it to do. So this inside accordion fold part, you're going to want that to come together. So we're going to burnish that down. I'm going to flip it on both sides, do a little bit in the middle, and just make sure that that's ready to obey my commands. All right, and probably this one too, each one of the little tabs on the end, and we'll have that one go. Okay. So now, let's try this again. When you glue this down here and here, it will close. All right. And you're going to want to make sure that your margins are pretty much the same on these sides as they are on the top, which is about 1/4 inch. All right, if you made them 2 this way or 2 this way, it wouldn't fold right. So you just need to be aware of that. flip that over, and we're going to put glue all over this 2-inch side here. Glue on my finger. I'm just going to stick it over there, get it out of my way, and we're going to do our very best to get that at about 1/4 inch all around, except that I have the wrong side. I was like, why is that sliding around? There we go. Nice. Good thing it's not directional. I just would have put the other side on first, so that doesn't really matter too much. Okay, so there we go. Got about 1/4 inch there, and now we're going to glue this side. I always say this, but just make sure you get a little dot in the corners, because if the corners start coming up on a card, it just doesn't look nice, doesn't look neat. Alright, so same thing here, about 1/4 inch, doing the best I can. It's not going to matter if you're off just a touch, but it will matter if you're off a lot, okay? So sometimes I just have to kind of zhuzh that a little bit to get it to do what I want, and then it closes, okay? Just takes a little bit of, like I said, training the paper to go the way you want it to go. All right, so this card will end up having a bit of a bump on the front. You really can't see it here, but I can feel it, and that's okay. It could cause a problem going through the machines at the post office. I think it's still 11 cents extra if you want it to be called or you want it to be mailed what they call non-machinable, which just means you're paying them extra for not putting it through the machine. It's kind of silly. It's probably kind of a rip-off. It's just my personal opinion. Don't want to put the U.S. government down, but okay. I thought I brought my garbage can in here, and I just threw my gluey fingers stuff on the floor. All right. So now that's ready to go. So now the next thing that you need, which I haven't cut yet, but I will in a minute, except my paper fell on the floor. Hang on. You know, I'd like to get through one video without having to search for anything or apologize for anything being weird. That would be very, very nice. Don't know that it's going to happen, but you know, you never know. Okay, so I'm also thinking about getting a microphone, not one of those big honking things, you know, like the radio stations use, but the microphone is now, because of the way we have to turn our camera, the microphone is now up on top. So when I talk to you and I'm standing up, you can hear me really well. But when I talk to you and I'm sitting down, I've noticed I sound a little distant. I don't think that's white. I do not. I think that, no, that's not. That is, whatchamacallit? You know, that other color. That's not white. Oh my gosh. I'm reaching. Everything's pretty much within arm's length. Sometimes it's a bigger stretch than other times, but mostly it's within arm's length. All right. Here's a nice scrap, and it is white, yes. Very vanilla, that's what I was trying to come up with. Okay, so the piece that goes here, and it makes for a small sentiment, obviously, unless you can find, so last week when I made the card, or the week before I think maybe it was, I made it so that the sentiment went this way, and it was one of those long sentiments, and it was okay, it was sideways, and that was fine with me. So this strip here needs to be, hang on, I'm looking for it. This strip here needs to be 1 3/4 by 5. Okay. 1 3/4 by 5. And when I made the other card, I used a Happy Birthday stamp set from the Sweetly Scripted stamp set, which is now retired. I really do try not to use retired products, because then if you like them and you want to buy them, you can't. And I don't like telling people they can't buy stuff. That's kind of defeats the purpose of why I'm here. So I'm going to have to, I don't think I'm going to stamp this today. I think that I'm going to try to find a sentiment that will fit here nicely and maybe go this way. I know I have a couple, but again, they might be retired too. So I'll have to see what I can come up with. I'm going to break my own rule and go ahead and glue it on. Although, you know what I could do? I could just put a little touch of glue just to hold it on, and then I can always take it off again if I have to. So same thing here now. You're going to kind of want to line that up, So you've got about 1/4 inch on each side. It's a little hard for you to see the side here, but if I bring the fold up, then I can see it, okay? So I know it's there. So that's the sentiment side of it, okay, or the inside sentiment, I guess I should say. And then on the front, you would put an outside sentiment. I like to call these the innies and these the outies. And this could be anything you wanted it to be. So for this one, I used a longer sentiment, and I just cut it, and I used the, what's it called? It's a tab, oh, not a tab punch. I used this one here, the Happy Labels Pick-a-Punch, which is, it's still available, but only online. It was a celebration item last year. And people have asked, and I think I've mentioned it a couple of times, they're not doing celebration anymore. But with the new rewards program, you actually make out better. You honestly do. And it's more consistent. And then they're doing the product of the month. So I think I'm okay with it. Not everybody is, but I'm okay with it. So you could use that, or you could also just as easily find a sentiment that would fit into one of our punches. See, I have a big sentiment, and I don't know if I have a punch that's big enough. So I'm going to be using this one a little bit later on. I do find, though, sometimes that I make too many thank you cards, and, you know, even though I send quite a few, I end up making too many. So I think I'm not going to make a sentiment now, but you know what? One of my favorite label punches now is this point-to-point punch. The stamp sets that went with this punch have retired, but they kept the punch, and I'm very glad that they did, because I like it. It's just kind of a little bit different, all right? So I'm going to put that there to remind me that that's the punch that I want to use, and I'll find a sentiment that fits that. What I really wanted you today to see was that part and this part here. So the way this tab punch works, it's called Keeping Tabs, and the stamp set that went with it was retired, but they kept the punch, so that's good. It's a very cool punch. I use them in my journals. I use them in this book that I have that I call a brain dump. It's just a book that I write notes in for different things. So it's meant to wrap around a piece of paper, or even to create like a file folder effect. So it wraps around like that, all right? But when you do that on something that opens, well, then it doesn't open. And I wasn't smart enough to figure that out right away. So what I did was I just made a nice little cut down the middle, and I rounded it off a little bit so that it wouldn't have like a sharp edge. And that was no big deal at all. I just basically cut off little points that I could see. So I need 3 of them because there are 3 little things that stick up. And I just made some more because I use these a lot. I can always use them for identifying colors of paper and things like that. They're very, very useful. Okay, and then I just, basically I put one, doesn't really matter which way it is, I put one kind of on the top tab, then I put one on the bottom tab here, towards the bottom, and then when I saw where those were, I could figure out where to put the middle one, all right? You can stamp them with a word, you can stamp them with nothing, you can stamp them, so here I kind of compromised. Let's see if I can get this so you can see it. Oh, I'm frozen. Okay. It's behind me. We're behind now, so. Okay, so here we go. So I used the word celebrate because the sentiment was happy birthday. And then here I just used 2 little stamps. So you could choose to do all words, no words. It's entirely up to you. And you could certainly choose not to use the stamps at all, or not to use the tabs at all. I just thought it was kind of cute, and it gave it a little something something. All right, so now you've seen me make that card without totally messing it up. So I'm hoping that helps if you decide to make that card. It is a fun fold. Not to be redundant, but it is. All right, so next, so it doesn't look like there were any mistakes on this, so I will try to remember to post this tonight or tomorrow morning. I know I said that last week too when I was way behind. Okay, so a stamp set that really caught my eye, and it's not everybody's jam, I understand that, but I like geometric stamp sets and stamp sets that I can use in my mixed media art or in my journals, and so this one really kind of spoke to me. It's called Swirled Designs. All right, and it comes with 7 stamps, and here are 4 of them because I used 3. So this one is just kind of like a watercolor wash, and another nice thing that I always forget to do, but I think I did recently, is to stamp off or use a super light color in the middle of the inside of your card, and then stamp your sentiment in a darker color over it. It just adds some nice, texture to it and whatever. This one is kind of like a bunch of dashes. I don't know what you want to call it, but again, it adds texture. Then there's one stamp that has a bunch of stars on it, and one stamp that has a bunch of flowers on it. And the one that I chose to use for the card that I'm about to show you is, let's see, I have two different cards, I don't want to get them mixed up. Okay, so this circle one here, and these speckles. I love my speckles. And not that one, that one's for something. Oh no, that is for something, for this one. And then this one, I combined two stamp sets. That was the other thing I kind of wanted to show you today, was how our stamp sets can be used together, even if that was never the intention. So the Layered Thoughts stamp set is also a new favorite of mine, and it's not that new, but it's a new favorite of mine. It's in the annual catalog, so it should be here through April anyway, and it might be carried over, it might not. I like them because they're big and bold, but then they have the small words that go with it. So I chose to use thank and then you. Is that what I did? Thank you? No, I changed my mind. Thinking of you, all right? Because again, I kind of sometimes get a little carried away with the thank you cards. So I also have those mounted. So here is the thinking, and then here is the of you, and I lined them both up on the same block so that I would have them the way I wanted. And I did a dry run. So this is something that a friend taught me. Sometimes I make a sample of the whole card ahead of time. Sometimes I don't want to. This is just a piece of printer paper, but I wanted to see the spacing for these, and I wanted to try out some colors. So I pulled out, you might remember, we used to have a thing called a color coach that was a bunch of cards, kind of like maybe the size of a playing card that went on a ring, and I know I copied that for some people bought it from me. I gave it away a couple of times as a prize. So now they have a different color coach. I figured out today, though, that I'm not sure if I like this because it doesn't have every color on it. So the next card that I'm making uses some of the neutrals. And I noticed that some of those were not, actually none of those were on here. They only have one brown on here, and it's pecan pie. I don't see a single gray on here. I'm looking, but I really don't. All right, so I just wasn't really sure how this worked when it was missing colors, but I've been playing with it. So I wanted to use Melon Mambo because it used to be a favorite color, and I haven't used it in a while. So that was where I started. So I started out finding Melon Mambo on this. It's like a color wheel, but it's made special for Stampin' Up! Colors. So I found Melon Mambo on the color wheel, and I looked at what was across from it because those are called complementary colors, and I wasn't too excited about that. Wasn't sure about that. Sometimes I don't think things are going to look together. And then I looked at what they called triadic colors. And that was 3 colors that would work together. And I came up with that Melon Mambo and Lemon Lime Twist and Balmy Blue would look good together. And when I did my trial, because it was more of just a trial for the stamping, it was also a trial for the colors, I was okay with that. I wanted the Melon Mambo to be in the middle, kind of taking center stage, and I think I liked the way it came out. So that was my trial run. So I had black ink for the sentiment because I wanted that to pop. And then I had Melon Mambo ink and Lemon Lime Twist ink and Balmy Blue ink. Right, so I have 2 sheets of 4 by 5 1/4, one for the inside and one for the outside. So we'll do the stamping on the outside first. Okay, so the card is going this way. I have to remind myself. And I should have a piece of scrap paper here because I'm going to do a little stamping off. All right, well, I'll tell you what. Something that I may not need again right away. Well, the free shipping is only for 3 days. I will show it again probably, but I can stamp on the back or stamp off because that doesn't, our colors don't usually show through. Well, not on the cardstock. On this paper they might. Okay, so what I'm going to do is kind of do a diagonal using the colors, starting with, doesn't matter, last time I started with Balmy Blue, this time I'll start with the lemon lime. I just know that I want the melon mambo in the center. I'm going to get a Stampin' Chamois out because I know that I'm going to have to clean in between each color. Alright, so we're going to start. I'm not going to stamp off with this one. It's going to be as close as it can get to the edge without stamping off. Okay, so there's the lemon lime twist. And I'm going to take the chamois and I'm going to clean it. Okay, I'm just going to hit it on my hand a little bit, make sure it's dry, because if it's watery, it's going to affect how your colors stamp. Although that could be a cool technique. If you wanted a watercolor effect, you could actually spritz your stamp. Alright, melon mambo in the center. And again, I'm going to try not to overlap. I'm going to try to get these as close to each other as possible without a bunch of overlap, or possibly without any overlap. There we go. Alright, cleaning that off. And then I'll go in for the balmy blue. And I don't know if you can see what I'm doing with my hands, but I very often check my hands. I'm looking to see if I have any ink on my fingers, if I somehow messed up and got ink on my fingers. Okay, so this one's almost to the corner. They're all just slightly touching, and that's exactly how I wanted it. So that's good. I love it when a plan comes together. Believe me, it doesn't always happen. And now, of course, I have to stamp over the top of this because I'm not adding a sentiment strip. I want this to be right on top. So here's where the bad stuff could happen. All right, so I wanted, this is a big stamp. But the nice thing about the photopolymer stamps is that you can see through them. So if I pick it up and I feel like one spot just doesn't have as much ink as the other, I'm usually okay just tapping it down again. Right, then I want to not stamp on the bump because I told you I have a bump in this pad. It has not gone away yet. And I want to put this sort of above so it's maybe just touching. I think that's what I did the last time. And I'm not going to really rock the stamp, although I see that I don't have any ink on the edges. I'm just going to hold it down there for a couple of seconds and just make sure that it has time to sink in. And there you go. So that is as close to perfect as it gets. It's even mostly straight. Okay, so now I've got the of you. And that's here. Oh, I forgot one step though. I better do it quick. All right, because it should have been under this one. So now I'm going to take the same three colors again, and I'm going to take this speckle stamp. And I think what I did before was I stamped off maybe once, and then just kind of put it so it was a little bit on and a little bit off. Okay, because I didn't want it to be too dark. Maybe I'll put a little in that corner that I did stamp off. And then I'll get rid of the balmy blue, and I'll take the melon mambo and do the same thing. All right, I'm going to clean this off with my chamois, dry it off a little, and come in. Melon mambo is kind of a darkish color, although this one sort of felt like it was a little bit lighter, almost like, oh, I just stuck it in the black ink pad. Did you see that? Oh, good thing I caught that. That would have really made me annoyed at myself. Okay, let's get rid of that black. Back to the melon mambo. Anyway, it's normally a rich color. So these stamps, though, I have to say, we used to refer to some of our red rubber stamps as being distinctive. And I haven't seen that term distinctive in the catalog in ages. I don't think I've ever seen it referring to a photopolymer stamp. But I want you to take a look at that. I think it's pretty obvious on the blue and on the melon mambo. It's a little hard to see, but you see how it's darker in some places than others? That usually would mean that when they created the stamp, when they molded it or carved it or however they do it, they made it slightly different textures so that in spots it looks darker and in other spots it looks lighter. It doesn't mean that I didn't ink up the stamp well or that I didn't stamp it well. It's deliberate. But they're not using that term anymore, distinctive stamp, and I don't know why. They don't consult me. I know I've said that before. I'm not in charge. I don't get consulted. I don't know what's going on. All right, so now last but not least, we're going to use the lemon lime twist. And I'm going to stamp off if I'm going over something else, and maybe not stamp off in the corner. And that looks pretty good to me. I almost feel like it like a tiny bit more underneath the thinking. Okay. And that just really adds something to it. And again, I know it's not for everybody, but I love it. So you'll have to let me know. Do you like splatters or do you not like splatters? Because sometimes I just take ink or paint when I'm painting and I just splatter stuff. It kind of makes me feel free, you know, and like I'm doing something a little naughty or whatever. It's like making a mess with permission. All right, so now I've got the Of You stamp. I'm going to just test that out there. Make sure it all looks inked up. And then I'm going to kind of put this under the G, kind of between the G and the N, and a little bit below, but not too much below. And there you go. I got very lucky there with both of those. Okay, so Thinking of You is what it says. All right, and then we're going to mount that here. I don't feel that I need to put any bling on that. I know of at least one person who might think they needed some bling on it, but I don't know because I'm not sure that person would even make this card. You know, I'm not positive. I can't remember if she's ever made kind of messy cards before or not in my classes. If she's watching or if she watches on the replay, she'll know I'm talking about her. She might respond. Okay. So I just don't feel like it needs any bling. I don't feel like it really needs anything else. I like it the way it is. I don't mind a little white space. At one time, that was like a thing that would bother me, and then I realized I was just junking it up by trying to put stuff everywhere. All right? Now, I don't know what I want for a sentiment on the inside. Sometimes Thinking of You could mean hope you're getting better, hope you're feeling better soon. Something means thinking of you and I'm here for you. So it could be any kind of thing. So I kind of like to wait with cards like Thinking of You. See, I got a little melon mambo there, but it's okay because we can flip it over. Because then when I have a need for a card, I don't have to go through my cards and see that none of them suit my need because I can fix it on the inside. Thinking of you on your birthday. I mean, you know, it can be almost anything. Okay, so that's still looking good. I can use that again. So that's card number 2. And then the last card is a really neutral card. And we're also using, where did that stamp go? I said everything was in arm's reach, but I might have lied to you. Okay, so for this one, I need this stamp right here. And I might have left that out in the other room, but I'm going to keep looking before I jump up out of my chair and go someplace else. All right, so for this next card, we're going to use... Oh wait, I bet it's right over my shoulder. Yep, it is. It's right over my shoulder. So the other stamp set that I wanted to bring into this today to show you is the stamp set called Banner Sayings, okay? So Banner Sayings, they're all very small. There are 14 of them. They've got, you are loved, I'm so grateful, consider yourself hugged, you're the sweetest, there's a happy birthday, wishing you good things, cue the confetti, I'm here for you, thanks a million, sending love. So these could all be, sorry, I'm frozen again because you know who thought, you know who is telling me he doesn't understand. Hey Siri, cancel. He always thinks I'm talking to him. I don't know what words I say that could sound like his name. Okay, anyway, there's a bunch of them. And then this is the punch that goes with it. So this is a punch bundle, not a stamp and die bundle, okay? But you have 3 choices of punches. It can be a little tricky because you have to figure out how to line them up if you're trying to punch 3 at once. I don't know that I would do that, and just for the record, I did not do that today. I did do something that I wanted to share with you. Because now that we have these stamps not in a stamp case, we don't have the ability to see this on the bottom of the stamp case like they might have been doing at one time. Hey Siri, cancel. He's killing me. He's just killing me. Hey Siri, cancel. Then just go away. Now he's arguing with me. Oh my God, and I freeze every time he does this. Now he says it's an interesting question. Hey Siri, close, go away, stop. And now he says, I'm sorry. Jeez, you're going to be sorry. All right, so what I did, oh my God, he still thinks I'm talking to him. Siri, go away. Seriously, Siri, stop. Wow. I put this on my scanner, copier, printer. And I didn't know if I could do this or not, but I kept pushing buttons and I finally found that I could. I reduced this by 75% so that the paper that I was going to cut out was almost the same size as this piece of plastic or acetate. And what I did, it's not perfect, but I put them on either slightly above or slightly below the sentiment that they say, so that I don't have to flip them around and try to guess upside down which is the one that I want. All right, can you see that? So like there it says sending love and the stamp is right under it. Here it says celebrate and the stamp is right above it. So I think it's going to help me to find the stamps when I need to find them. At least I hope it is. Okay, so we're there. And then punching them out, I did them kind of along the sides and then cut them into strips and punched them out that way. I'm sure that a person smarter than myself would come up with a better way to do that, but I haven't played with it that much. Okay, so this particular card is going to be made with one stamp from this set, from the Swirled Designs set, and it's going to be made with 3 dies. I'm using the larger oval die, I'm using this little greenery die, foliage die, and I'm using this die here. All right, and that's going to be kind of the basis of that card. So I wanted to keep this card pretty neutral, possibly masculine, and so I have a card base. It goes this way. I have a card base of crumb cake, and I decided to pair that with Very Vanilla, only this is the inside, so we're not going to do anything with that yet. And what I'm going to do before I do anything else is get my scrap paper again over here. I'm going to get the crumb cake ink, which is right here, and I'm going to take this stamp. Whoops. I'm going to take this stamp. Let's see if I can put it up here so you can see it. Yeah, I'm not even sure what to call that. Maybe like hashtagging stuff. It's not exactly a plaid. It's just, I don't know, it's just a design. Maybe you'll be able to see it better when I actually stamp it. All right, so I decided on crumb cake because it's not too dark, not too light. I'm going to go over the edges with it. And I'm just going to kind of keep going. I'm not necessarily going to try to match up the ends or anything like that. I'll try not to overlap too much, but that's as far as it goes. You see that? It makes a nice background. You know, there's not much to it, but it creates a background. Okay, so we're just going to kind of keep going with that. Oh, that one wasn't good. All right, so here's what I'm going to do because that one wasn't good. I'm going to stamp, and I'm going to stamp off once, and I'm going to go in there again just to kind of fill it in a little bit. It'll be a little bit lighter, but that's okay with me. But I didn't want to do it full strength either. And I don't remember the last time I inked my crumb cake, so it might want some ink. Yeah, that didn't come out so good either. And I did do the thing where I smush and clean and smush and clean. It's just not cooperating with me. But again, it's okay because it's just a little bit of a background, just for interest, and you're not going to see every bit of it anyway. Okay, so what we're going to do with this, all right, is that this background piece, get the inside piece out of the way, this background piece is going to go over here. All right, and I think we're going to leave a little bit on the edge. Maybe not more than that, just this much on the edge. All right, like I said, very neutral, kind of masculine, no hot pink, no purples, just kind of I don't want to say blah, because it's not blah, but kind of plain, kind of neutral. Well, if anybody out there knows more about, I mean, I think I know a lot about my Apple Watch, and I'm always discovering new things that it can do, and when things are updated, there's new things, but it keeps reverting from my regular clock face to this thing. And I don't know what that is, or why it's suddenly appearing. If anybody has a clue, let me know, will you? Because that's not the one that I want there. Okay, so now I've got a piece of crumb cake that is 2 3/4 by 3 3/4, and I've got a piece of very vanilla that is 2 1/2 by 3 1/2, so just 1/4 of an inch smaller. All right, and I'm just going to put that there because I'm not stamping on this. All right, not stamping on this. We're going to get back to that other stamp set in a minute too. The what did I say that was called? Oh, whatever that one is called with the die. Banners, banner sayings, I think that's it. I'm going to get back to that in a minute as well. So I'm just going to put that on here. Now sometimes there's a fun fold where we might cut this off here, just the front, and have this hanging over. We're just going to make it a layer, okay? And so I can glue that on any time that I want, so I might as well glue it on now. We're not going to stamp on the white part. I don't know if you can hear that kind of whining noise in the background when I'm not talking. It's the ceiling fan in here. It's very old, and it's the one that I have to get replaced. So I'm going to kind of try to center it between top and bottom. I'm not centering it this way though because I want to see more of this. All right, and then I have this larger oval that I die cut, and I'm going to put that here. All right, and trying to think, was I going to stick anything behind, or was it all going to go in front? Behind? No. If it was solid, I might put it behind, but I don't think I want it behind. But what I might do is try to line up the stem so it's not just like hanging out in the middle of nowhere. So I will glue this on first. I don't think sticking anything under it's going to look particularly good, just because of the way it's kind of wide open and lacy, or whatever you want to call that. So I don't think I want to do that. I'm just dotting it on some of the wider spots, and it should be just fine. And I'm going to try to center that right in the middle. And gotta get a drink. Alright, thank you. So I cut out 2 of these. Here, let's get rid of this now. I cut out 2 of these, and then I saw this little one, and I couldn't quite figure out what that was going to end up looking like, but it was interesting. So when I cut it out, I got these 2 shapes, and I think I had another one. I wonder what happened to it, because I've got 3 of these, so I must have had another one. And then I was trying to figure out, you know, like these were just the byproduct that you're probably supposed to throw out. But I saved them because I thought, I don't know, they might come in handy in this card. If they don't, I will throw them out. It's not the kind of thing I save forever. It's too small. But I just kind of wanted to know what it might do, if anything. So I want to put the greenery there. And now I better bring in, before I get too far, my tray of sentiments. So these were die cut, not die cut, nope, these were punched using that triple punch that I just showed you. This one, the 3 banner punch, okay? So you've got one that's dovetailed on both edges. You've got one that's just kind of a bullet point on one edge, and you've got one that's dovetailed on one edge. And you can make them all any length that you want by doing a couple of different things. With this one, you would just cut it off, obviously. With this one, there's another little trick to that. And that one is called Banner Sayings. And already I've lost it. I don't even know like where it could have gone. I tell you, it's very strange, the stuff that happens around here. But anyway, that's what it's called, banner sayings, and I believe there were 14 sayings in there. All right, and so these are all of them. So I stamped some in basic gray. I think these 6 up top are stamped in basic gray. Can you see all of them? Let me move that over so you can see them all. Keep moving. There we go. Okay. And I think that these 4 here were stamped in basic black. And these were stamped in Melon Mambo just because I had the Melon Mambo ink out and I wanted to see how it looked in a color. Okay, so I have them stamped in all the different colors. For this card, I definitely would not want to use Melon Mambo, so I'd have to choose one of these other sentiments. And I think I decided, basically because of the measurements, that I was going to want the double dovetail one that did not get shortened. So I think I'm just going to go with I Can't Thank You Enough, and I know it's a thank you card, but I'm not sure. If I were to send this to a man, I'm not sure what person, gentleman, man, I would send that to that said, consider yourself hugged. I don't know. So, all right, so this is going to end up going over the top with dimensionals. All right, so I just have to think about how many of these that I want and where I want them. And do I even want any of these? Because this is kind of an odd looking thing. I'm just not sure about it. But maybe in the bottom, maybe that could get added later when I just kind of decide if I really want it. I don't know if one of these is enough. So let's just kind of play with this. And we'll do the same thing. We'll just do some light dots in some of the heavier spots. But only if the ink will come out. Oh yeah, it came out all right. I don't want to get ink on my fingers. What can I get ink on? Let's see. All right, so sometimes I have just a piece of scrap paper. You can do this with a sponge dauber, by the way. You can do this with a sponge and do it on your silicone mat. That works out really well. Honest, it does. I just don't always remember. I think I need to buy like 5 silicone mats so that I have one in every location that I work in. Because when I make journals, I don't work here. I usually work at the kitchen counter or a counter high cabinet that I have in my loft area, and then sometimes I bring them to class, and sometimes I don't. Yeah. So all right, we're gonna put that one there. I don't know. I feel like one. I'm gonna hold that down for a minute. I feel like one is kind of lonely. That song, "One is the Loneliest Number." Definitely aging myself there. I think that one was from the '60s. Anyway, I'm not sure if I like just one, so let me take another look at that and see if I want to add the second one on, and I kind of think I do. Now again, there is the flower stamp and the flower dies, so I could have put some flowers maybe over the end of the stem here. Maybe I'll decide to do that later on. It's just that thing again, you know, when you think you're making something for guys, that you don't think you put flowers on it, and I don't know why. Guys like flowers, right? They love smelling them. We have this big event near Rochester, New York, near where I live, called the Lilac Festival, and people come from all over the world. Maybe they're all just men who got dragged by their wives or girlfriends, I don't know, but everybody seems to enjoy it. Of course, they also have music and food. Lots of food. Food and food trucks and all that good stuff. All right, so then I want my sentiment to go right across the middle on a couple of dimensionals. What do we got here? 2 left there, all right. I don't know, I think this banner's wide enough for full-size dimensionals. I've been cutting them in half a lot, though. I've watched another demonstrator who always cuts hers in half, and she probably saves a lot of money. But sometimes I just cut them in half for size reasons, not just because. All right. In case you're wondering why there's a red line across these, it's because sometimes I can't remember, especially if I'm using a lot of them, I can't remember which ones I took the release paper off of, and if I go around touching them, then I feel like I'm getting oil and whatever on them, so I don't do that. Okay, so right here down the middle, I can't thank you enough. And then if we leave it just as it is, it's very simple. If we put a few flowers over here, it's a little bit less simple. I'm just not sure about this. This is a weird looking thing, like a hollow leaf. I don't know what to call that. And I really do think this was supposed to come out. Now that being said, I could put it back in and glue it together. I probably could. Yep, I think that's upside down, but I could. I'm not sure. I'm going to have to think on that. It's not really doing anything for me, so I think I'm going to leave it just like it is. Now, had I been thinking, this is Mossy Meadow, by the way, a couple of Mossy Meadow, like, splattered dots around would have been nice, but I would have done it before I did all this. And again, you might not like that, so I don't know. I don't think stars are nice. I could stamp some of the flowers, like here and here and here, and just stamp them, I don't know, in a neutral color somehow. I don't know. I think I like it just fine. Sometimes I think I just go too far. All right, so that was card number 3. Don't know what I'm going to put on the inside. Probably nothing, because you're saying I can't thank you enough. So then inside I think it would be enough just to write a personal note about what it is you're thanking them about and how grateful you are, or something like that. And maybe some of these on the inside or something would be kind of nice. So the first card, let's see. So this was not the first card, this was the second card. And now I'm looking for the folding card. That's all blue and not the one from last time. I just don't know. I mean, this is a small table. This is not even a 6-foot table. It's one of those little 4-foot tables. I don't even understand how you could lose something on this table. It's so small. Sometimes I put things behind me, but I don't think I did. Something fell on the floor at some point, so maybe that's what it was. I don't know. It's just crazy. It really is just crazy. All right, well, I will take pictures. It's just crazy. Yep, it's, oh no, wait, I see it, I got it. I put it on a shelf. Okay, because I remember I said I wasn't really finished with it, so this is not the finished product I'm showing you, it's just the kind of in progress. And I hope you don't mind that you do that, but if I make a card, I don't want it to just be a sample. I want it to be something that I can use. So sometimes I really have to think about that, and an idea doesn't come to me until I'm actually making the card. All right, so there we go. Card number 1, card number 2, and card number 3. I hope you like these. Please let me know your thoughts. Let me know your thoughts on colors and sentiments, and whether you need masculine cards, if that's something that you need to know more about, or if you are interested in scrapbooking, please let me know. If you're interested in journal making, let me know, because that's a whole different ball of wax, but I can point you in the right direction with my other channels. All right, thank you so much for joining me, and have a great rest of your week, and I will see you 1 week from tonight. Hey Cheryl, sorry, this is the first time I saw that you were here. I apologize. Okay.